Welcome everyone, I'm Yashni Padiachi and this is Africa Matters. This week we look at what role Eritrea is playing in Ethiopia's Tigray conflict and why its involvement is drawing criticism from the international community. As South Africa struggles with chronic power cuts, we profile a company making card payment possible without needing an internet connection or external power source. And in Togo, we'll tell you how a super app is helping people order food, a motorbike ride, or groceries with just the click of a button. It's been nearly 2 years since a civil war broke out in Ethiopia after a massive fallout between Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and the Tigray People's Liberation Front, or TPLF, which governs the northern region of the country. In August, the brutal war flared up again, ending a 5-month truce. And on Tuesday, Addis Ababa released a statement saying it sees the strategic town of Shire in Tigray together with the smaller towns of Alamata and Kome. Shire is one of the region's biggest towns, and it's home to about 100,000 residents and 60,000 displaced people. Ethiopian troops now appear to be inching closer to the regional capital of Mekelle, which shares an airport and road links to Shire. There's been a longer history of animosity rather than friendship between Ethiopia and Eritrea. Asmara was locked in a 20-year border conflict against the then Tigray government, who ruled from 1998 until the war officially ended in 2018. That's when Prime Minister Abiy came to power and signed a peace accord with Isaias Afewerki, earning him the Nobel Peace Prize just a year later. But a civil war broke out in Ethiopia in November 2020. And the military, ethnic militias and troops from neighboring Eritrea joined forces to oust the Tigray rebel forces from their stronghold in the country's north. In late September, there were reports Eritrea was mobilizing its armed forces and calling up reservists between the ages of 40 and 65 to back Ethiopian government forces in their fight against Tigray. The US and the UK, as well as the UN, have all condemned what they describe as Eritrea's escalating involvement in Tigray.
Hostilities in the Tigray region of Ethiopia must end now, including the immediate withdrawal and disengagement of Eritrean armed forces from Ethiopia. There is no military solution.
Well, let's hear more now from Andebrhan Welde Giorgis. He's the author of Eritrea at a Crossroads, a narrative of triumph, betrayal and hope, and the former Africa Advocacy Director at the International Crisis Group. He's speaking to us from Brussels. Ambassador, it's good to have you on the program. Thank you so much for joining us. Firstly, I'd just like to unpack, why is Eritrea supporting the Ethiopian military in their fight against the TPLF?
There are actually two reasons. In the first place, there has been an unresolved issue of the boundary. When the Boundary Commission decided delimited the boundary between Eritrea and Ethiopia in 2002, the TPLF-dominated EPRDF government in Addis Ababa has refused to implement it, and in fact went on to settle or establish new settlements on Eritrean territory after the limitation decision of the Boundary Commission. That's one thing. The second is, if you recall, after the change, when the TPLF was ousted from power and decamped in Tigray, there was the new prime minister accepted or agreed to implement the decision of the Boundary Commission, and a peace and friendship agreement was signed between Eritrea and Ethiopia, providing for security cooperation between the two countries. And a third factor is, of course, that when the TPLF launched this preemptive strike against the headquarters of the Northern Command in Tigray, the Ethiopian Northern Command in Tigray, it also pursued the Ethiopian army troops that were fleeing into Eritrea, and in fact started attacking Eritrea. And so Eritrea also responded in self-defense at the time. We're all aware that there were also missile attacks against Eritrean cities in November 2020. So these are some of the reasons why Eritrea is involved in Ethiopian affairs. And it's really nothing new. Eritrea and Ethiopia have constantly been interfering in each other's internal affairs. From when Eritrea was annexed in 1962, the armed struggle started in Eritrea and cooperated with Ethiopian armed resistance groups up to conducting joint military operations inside Ethiopia, which culminated in the defeat of the Derg, the flight of Colonel Mengistu from Addis Ababa. And it was Eritrean troops, mechanized units, that spearheaded the liberation of Addis Ababa in 1991. And some of these units stayed until 1995 to stabilize TPLF dominance and of the EPRDF coalition. So there is really nothing new in the reciprocal interference in each other's affairs. And Ethiopia, as a sovereign country, can invoke its security cooperation agreement to invite Eritrea to help it in a moment of need.
So then what does Eritrea stand to gain and to lose with their ongoing involvement in this conflict in Tigray?
In the first place, what is the main cause of this war? Why did the TPLF launch its preemptive strike on the 3rd of November 2020? Ostensibly to return to power in Addis Ababa. But that's impossible because as a former senior US official, the former Undersecretary of State for Africa, Mr. Cohen, stated, the rule of the TPLF was characterized as corrupt, authoritarian, and tribalist, and therefore there is no possibility of acceptance of TPLF rule in Ethiopia. That's then out of the question. The second is the project of Greater Tigray, the objective to establish an independent Tigrayan Republic carved out of territories from Eritrea and Ethiopia in violation of the territorial integrity of Ethiopia and Eritrea, which counters the African principle and practice of the inviolability of colonial borders. In addition, it would be untenable because neither Eritrea nor Ethiopia would allow parts of their territory to be carved out in order to create a new Tigrayan state with access to the sea, as the TPLF claims. So I think degrading the capacity of the force which presents an existential threat to its national security is one of the potential benefits of Eritrea's involvement.
And
I'd like
to find out how this is all actually affecting the people of Eritrea, because there has been this military mobilization to help this fight in Tigray, but this is a country that also has its own issues. So how are people in that country being affected by what's going on?
There is no question. The people of Eritrea, the people of Tigray, the people of Ethiopia as a whole are suffering from this war. In fact, the people of Eritrea have been suffering under a brutal dictatorship. And national service mobilization is not a new thing. National service was instituted in 1994. And although it had in accordance with the proclamation, it had limits. It was intended for just 6 months of military training and about a year of free national service. It has become indefinite, under the pretext that, of course, the no war, no peace imposed by the TPLF-dominated Ethiopian government represented an existential threat to Eritrea. So mobilization and, of course, forcible conscription as in the name of national service has been a fact of life in Eritrea, which, of course, has been, we've been trying to actually reverse the making it indefinite. It should be executed in accordance with the legal limits set in the proclamation. So in Eritrea, it's not just the national services mobilization but the utter deprivation of basic essential needs, essential public goods and services, which is the hallmark of the dictatorship in Asmara.
Yeah, a really difficult situation for people in that country. Ambassador Andebrhan, good to speak to you and get your take on that situation in Eritrea. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Still to come here on Africa Matters.
I'm Ntsepeng Mutema, and I'll tell you how South African financial tech companies are innovating solutions to unleash the potential of entrepreneurs across the continent.
I'm Daniel Plafker, and I'll explain how motorcycle taxis like this one in Togo have become a driving force in Francophone West Africa's growing digital economy.
To South Africa now, where small and medium businesses have long been left behind by banks and other financial institutions. But innovators in the financial tech sector are changing all that. They're creating solutions to bring them into the digital economy and providing them with the tools to thrive. Ntsepeng Motema reports on those at the forefront of these changes and the businesses empowered by the new opportunities in Johannesburg.
Overseeing the quality check of card machines before they are dispatched, Machelo Sherma is a manager at one of South Africa's leading fintech companies. Yoko was established in 2013 to enable small businesses that were still only trading in cash to accept digital payments.
We've taken the model of how small businesses access financial services and really rethought it with the question in mind, how do we make it more accessible?
Yoko provides merchants with portable card machines that enable transactions without needing Wi-Fi or external power, something key for businesses in South Africa, where daily power cards have become the norm.
You can go on our website, you can order a card machine, the process takes 3 minutes, we ship it to your door, and we don't require that people have minimum transactions and those kind of things. And so it's made the model much more inclusive.
Small enterprises accuse traditional banks of excluding them by charging high transaction fees, refusing to supply them with card machines, saying they are either too small or don't have a strong enough trading history.
But financial tech has changed all of that, and it's not just about payments. The sector extends to mobile money, digital insurance, and crypto trading, all stepping in to reach the millions of people that have been underserved by established financial institutions.
At a weekend market, Rose Ngokhazi sells traditional beaded jewelry and homewares. For a long time, the family business did not accept digital payments. To avoid losing a sale, they would give customers the item, trusting they would later deposit the money into the company bank account. But Ngokhazi says not everyone was trustworthy. Some people never paid. The business now has card machines from 2 different fintech companies.
It makes life easier because people are not carrying cash anymore as much as they used to. But that doesn't mean that you're going to lose the sale because everyone is carrying around, cards, and now with the Apple Watches and, people they're ready to tap. So now we are meeting the customers where they are as well.
There are more than 2.6 million small and medium-sized businesses in South Africa, and only a fraction of them are digitized. For those in the fintech sector, that's an enormous market just waiting to be tapped. Ntsepeng Motema, Africa Matters, Johannesburg.
Togo in West Africa is our next stop, and it's among the poorest countries on the continent, but that hasn't stopped it from becoming home to one of the region's most internationally successful tech startups. A homegrown ride-hailing platform hopes to become Africa's first super app, as Daniel Plafker reports from Lomé.
On the streets of Togo's capital, Lomé, the hum of motorcycle engines is never far away. To entrepreneurially minded locals like Abodite, it's the sound of opportunity.
I've been working as a motorcycle taxi rider for 3 years now. On a good day, I can earn up to 10,000 West African francs.
That's the equivalent of about $15, a considerable income in what is one of Africa's smallest economies. The earnings are made possible by an unlikely success story on the continent's tech scene.
So Gozem has been founded in 2018 by 3 people, so Rafael Dana, Gregory Costamagna and Emeka Ajene. So they basically met and then they came in Benin and Togo, and they were like, oh, there is a potential with all these bikes.
The startup was launched according to a model now ubiquitous in cities across the globe. Drop a pin, call a rider, and allow GPS to take care of the rest. The formula has earned the app loyal customers, first in Togo, then in Benin, Gabon, and later Cameroon.
I have been using Gozem for 3 years now. It is fast, safe, and reliable.
Gozem's ride-hailing function has taken the app forward. Already, more than 5 million trips just like this one have been completed on the platform. But the app's founders have plans of taking the concept even further, integrating a broad range of digital services, all under one umbrella.
A super app is an app where you can have all your mates, your daily needs met in one roof. You don't have to go to another app. So you can order a bike, you can order food, groceries, you can send a courier, and also pay all these services in the app thanks to mobile money.
As the app has evolved, so too has the working life of those who keep it running. Avodite now makes deliveries in addition to his usual passenger trips. His wages are dispensed directly into his in-app digital wallet, from which he makes payments on his motorcycle loan. This integration has yielded considerable support, attracting over $12 million in investor funding over the app's short lifetime. But as Gozem looks to expand into larger markets in French-speaking Africa, it may still take time before commuters in countries like Mali and Congo can log on to Africa's self-described super app. But for many here, the platform has already opened the road towards a new way of navigating the region's increasingly vibrant digital economy. Daniel Plafka, Africa Matters, Togo.
You're watching Africa Matters, and here's a roundup of other stories making news across the continent. Chad's military ruler Mohamed Idris Deby declared a state of emergency late Wednesday after heavy rains hit 3/4 of the country. More than 1 million people have been affected by floods, and hundreds of people have fled their homes and sought shelter in makeshift camps across the country. Floods are common in the rainy season, but this year the country's experienced its heaviest rainfall in more than 30 years. Displaced families say they fear the spread of waterborne diseases like malaria and cholera. A green transport company has unveiled the first electric bus in Kenya to promote eco-friendly public transport in Nairobi. The government cut tariffs in an attempt to encourage the uptake of electric vehicles, but the city only has one charging station. The Kenyan-Swedish manufacturer Rome says the 77-seater bus has a top speed of 70 kilometers an hour and a battery pack allowing it to travel 360 kilometers before requiring a 2-hour recharge. In Senegal and Bayern Munich football star Sadio Mane has been awarded the first Socrates Prize in recognition of his achievements off the field. The award was named after the late Brazilian midfielder who also had a medical degree. Mane's philanthropic works for communities in his homeland were recognized as best social initiatives by committed champions. Sadio Mane inaugurated a brand new hospital in his hometown of Bambale last year. Welcome back to Africa Matters. Now, in recent years, avocados have become a lucrative crop as more consumers around the world embrace greener, healthier lifestyles. Global trade in the trendy treat totaled almost $6.7 billion in 2020. We go to Kenya now, which is Africa's largest avocado producer. And as Taibe Aiden reports, farmers there are cashing in.
Creamy, fresh, delicious, and nutrition-packed. Avocados have become more than just a tasty fruit. Huge global demand has earned it the nickname green gold. And at a 40,000 square metre farm in Kitale, Western Kenya, Ibrahim Simiyu is planting the seeds for a successful business.
That seedling then gives us the genetic integrity, it gives us the cleanliness, and the disease pest-free type of seedling that we need to take to the farmers.
Since 2018, he has also trained other entrepreneurial growers at his tree nursery. He's helped around 5,000 people shift from traditional crops to avocados. And small-scale farmers like Albert Gumo say they're reaping the rewards with better prices and better yields.
I started harvesting about 5 weeks ago. The first harvest, I got 6,000 Kenya shillings. The second harvest, I got 11,000 Kenya shillings. This third harvest, which is today, after 8 weeks, I probably am going to get 30,000.
Kenya is Africa's largest avocado producer and among the top 10 in the world. It exports about 80,000 tons annually. Its main markets are the European Union as well as the Middle East. With its combination of fertile soil, ample rain and warm sunshine, the country is ripe for growth.
Our biggest market right now for the Hass avocado is in Spain, and also some quantities they go to the Netherlands. For Fuerte we do the Middle East and also Egypt. And also we have some quantities which go to Turkey.
Kenya also started shipments of avocados to China in August, marking a new chapter in agricultural trade with the world's second largest economy. And it aims to export more than 100 tons of avocados to the Chinese market every year.
We are projecting probably in the month of August, going to September, October, and towards the end of the year, the volumes will be building up.
For many in Kenya, the avocado is seen as an antidote to poverty that could transform the country's economy. Taiba Aiden, Africa Matters.
Decades back, Lesotho's Kome caves used to be one of the country's best-kept secrets, and with good reason. Shoaib Hassan explains why the caves are so special to the community that lives there.
Some 50 kilometers from Lesotho's capital, Maseru, these igloo-shaped mud houses look like they were built recently. But they're at the heart of a way of life stretching back centuries.
We are staying here to keep and preserve our culture as Lesotho people and to remember our ancestors while we are still here.
Kome caves in Kome village have housed hundreds of people since the 1800s. During the early 19th century, they were used as hideouts for the Basotho, Basia and Bautang communities. They used them to escape raids and cannibalism during a devastating drought.
This is the animals. We call it look for sleeping.
Some people here are subsistence farmers and also make their own mattresses and rugs from animal skin. But it's not a life for everyone. 66-year-old Mama Tsaseng Khoswane left the Kome caves for a nearby village to enjoy the amenities.
At times, when someone's sick, that's when things become very tough. It becomes a huge problem as to how we are going to take them. The other problem is the availability of water. We have to go far to get water, and to get water there, it's a very difficult task, especially for the people that are now old.
The site is a designated National Heritage Site and is attracting growing interest from visitors to the southern African country. But without better roads and infrastructure in the area, its potential as a tourist hotspot has yet to be realized.
The difficulty really is the issue of the road, which gives us a little bit of a headache, because truly when the rains come, the road gets damaged. We have complained even to Lesotho's tourism board. If they helped us fix the roads, then the number of visitors could really increase, and that would mean employment for our youths.
There's a saying that home isn't a place, it's a feeling. Kome's dwellers say their home is sacred, and they plan on staying there as long as they live. Shoaib Hassan, Africa Matters.
And our final stop this week is Antsirabe in central Madagascar. This ancient volcano site has been a health resort destination since 1917, and its multiple thermal springs have earned it the nickname City of Water. Here's a closer look. And that's our show this week. It would be great if you shared your thoughts with us about the stories you've seen on this episode or on anything you'd like us to cover. You can use the hashtag Africa Matters on Twitter. And to watch this episode again, you can find us on YouTube. It was great being with you. Until next time, I'll leave you with the shortlisted images from this year's Comedy Wildlife Photography competition. The winner will be announced in December. Take care. Bye-bye.